before me the Lenovo Legion Pro 7i and the Asus ROG Flow X16, two fantastic 16-inch laptops that really pack a punch with an RTX 4070. Now in this video, we're gonna go through the usability and the build quality of each model, and then we'll get into the benchmarks. So definitely hang on for this video. We're gonna cover all the ins and outs and see which one is right for you. Now, from a portability standpoint, I know that the Pro version of the Pro 7, not the Slim. I'll do a full separate head-to-head review between the X16 and the Slim version of the 7. The X16 is going to be much more on-the-go friendly than the Pro 7i. It's just a thicker chassis by nature, bit of a thicker laptop, has a slightly more powerful CPU, but they both have the same GPU. Now, as we look at the build quality of each laptop, though, they're assembled very well and actually very similar. You can see that they both have this kind of indentation here when we come from the back of the chassis to the front of the chassis. They both have this kind of design, and so it looks very reminiscent of one another. However, when you get to the actual outer bezels of the laptop, the X16 is a little bit simpler. It doesn't have as many chunky accents kind of sticking out, so it makes it a little bit more of a compact, on-the-go friendly laptop. Just keep that in mind as far as a build and assembly is concerned. But they're both assembled very nicely. We have an aluminum laptop here, a magnesium alloy laptop with the X16. So that's some of the differences and some of the weight differences as well. The Pro 7i is definitely gonna be a little bit heavier. Now taking a look at the ports, we have a bit more robust ports on the Legion Pro 7i. So we have USB Type-C, USB Type-A on the Pro 7i. Then we have HDMI, power adapter, USB-C. And of course we have our ROG XG mobile connector with an additional USB-C hidden in there. And then we have a headphone jack. Now, as you go to the back panel, we're gonna see no ports on the X16, except we'll see a lot of ports on the Pro 7i. Power adapter, two USB Type-A's, HDMI, USB-C, and network port. There's not a network port on the X16. As we get to the other side, micro SD card reader. That is a bit of an additional benefit compared to the Pro 7i. Two USB Type-A's on the X16 as well. Then for the Pro 7i, we have our headphone jack, manual cutoff switch for the webcam, and USB Type-A. So it just depends on what you're looking for. Network port, micro SD card reader. That is definitely nice to expand your storage. But keep in mind, both of these laptops, you can upgrade both RAM and both SSDs. So there's two SSD slots in both laptops, one occupied, one unoccupied when it comes from the factory. And of course you have both RAM sticks that are upgradable. So the upgrade path on these laptops is even, which is fantastic. Now, going ahead and taking a look at opening and closing these two laptops, they both open and close easily with one hand. However, you're gonna see a little bit more bounce from the screen on the X16. It's a little bit more of a flimsy hinge compared to the Legion Pro 7i. Now, as far as the actual flex is concerned, you can see there's quite a bit of a flex there. There's gonna be less flex on the Pro 7i. So from a durability, kind of sturdiness, rigidity standpoint, the Pro 7i definitely wins out as a more rigid laptop. However, when we press the middle of the keyboard deck, there's a little bit more press on the Pro 7i compared to the X16. So just keep that in mind. Save an extra 6% on a Lenovo Legion laptop by heading down in the description below, clicking the link and using the discount code BENKAISER6. That will give you an extra 6% off even sale prices of a Lenovo Legion or Legion Lock laptop, and it's good till the end of the year. So head down in the description below, click the link, and use the code BENKAISER6. Save yourself some extra money. Don't even have to wait for the Black Friday deals. All right, as we slide the laptops around, let's get a quick look at the interior as well as the keyboard and trackpads on these two laptops. They're almost identical in size. However, you can see the X16 is slightly bigger. Now, I do like both keyboards a lot. However, there's something about the Lenovo Legion Pro 7i keyboard that just provides a little bit more to your experience. You have a full-size numpad. You've got a really nice, clear presentation of the full-size arrow keys, where these are slightly smaller, kind of shrunk down arrow keys. I love full-size shift keys on both laptops. It just feels like a more complete experience, though, on the Lenovo Legion Pro 7i. This is a more consolidated, kind of more trimmed down minimalist experience. However, when we get to the actual speakers, because we save room on side of each of the keyboard, we have these really nice upward facing speakers. So the audio is great on the X16. The audio is just so-so on the Pro 7i. Here's a sample of each so you can hear what they sound like. And of course, if you want to hear the keyboard and trackpad, here's a sample of the noise coming from each during use. Now, another thing we can take a look at is the webcam on the interior of each of these laptops. They both have them along the top bezel. Here's a sample so you can hear that. This is the webcam on the Asus ROG Flow X16 and a little sample of the audio for you as well. This is the webcam on the Lenovo Legion Pro 7i and a little sample of the audio for you as well. Now, the panels. They are both the exact same size, 16-inch panels. However, we have a matte display for the Legion Pro 7i and a glossy display for the X16. Now, for me personally, I prefer the matte display from the Pro 7i. I'm not a big fan of glossy displays because, as you can see here, when I lean it back, you can totally see the reflection of my light above me versus the Pro 7i. It just kind of like is like a wash on the screen. So especially if you're in a well-lit area with a lot of overhead lights, or perhaps you're somewhere outside, you'll see a lot more reflections on the glossy screen. Just keep that in mind. However, from a brightness standpoint, we're gonna have a brighter screen on the Legion Pro 7i. So we have 537 nits, 100% sRGB, 80% Adobe RGB, 80% DCI-P3, all at a delta E of 0.73 from the Pro 7i. And looking at the X16, we have 482 nits, 100% sRGB, 89% Adobe RGB, 99% DCI-P3, and 0.97 for the delta E. So we're seeing a slightly better delta E and a slightly brighter screen out of the Pro 7i. However, if you want glossy, it usually looks a little crisper, a little sharper, just because of the nature of the screen. You might want to go for the X16. Now, speaking of the screen, let's talk about how the battery life is going to be for this laptop. The Pro 7i has a 99.9 watt-hour battery. The X16 has a 90 watt-hour battery. However, keep in mind that even though the Pro 7i has a bigger battery, the X16 is going to get slightly better battery life. I think that's really due to the fact that the Armoury Crate Center is just really optimizes the components in the laptop. It does such a good job. Now, both laptops are set to 20% screen brightness, Windows battery saver mode. They have the screen refresh rate set to 60 Hertz, and they're both on the quiet mode with iGPU mode only. So it's turning off the dedicated GPU. You're only running on the iGPU. And as you can see, the battery life results coming up on the screen. We get substantially better battery out of the X16. So if battery life is what you're looking for, I would personally be choosing the X16. Now you might be thinking, okay, Ben, what is the price difference between these two laptops? And on average, I've seen the Pro 7i being a little bit more affordable than the X16. But if you want the live pricing, head down in the description below and click those links. If you do make a purchase, of course, I will get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. But of course, that's what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. Now, before we get into the performance benchmarks, there's one other feature that I really want to point out here on the X16, and that is the fact that this is a 2-in-1 touchscreen laptop. So if you're a digital artist, you're a graphic designer, you're a photographer who likes to do touch-ups with a pen, that's gonna be a big feature coming on the X16. You're gonna be able to get into the digital art scene much easier with this laptop. It's not going to be so much of adding a Wacom tablet and trying to figure out your workflow. You just go ahead, grab your pen, use your fingers to zoom in and out on the screen, and just go to town on anything that you're working on with a pen. Now keep in mind, this pen is not going to be included. This is the Asus 2.0 pen, Pen 2.0. So if you want that, keep in mind that'll be an extra purchase, but just the functionality of it is great. And of course, if you have a nice light drawing, you can lightly scribble there, or draw really nice like I cannot. And then you kind of add a little bit of heaviness to your pen and it thickens up. So the touch sensitivity is great with this pen and the screen combination. Keep that in mind. All right, now for the main event, let's go ahead and jump into the benchmarks for these two laptops. Now, as you're taking a look at the simulated benchmarks, you can see that we actually have better performance out of the X16 for Geekbench single core. Then we go into Geekbench multi-core, however, and the Pro 7i definitely ramps up with that i9-13900HX series processor rather than just the straight H series processor from Intel. So substantially more multi-core performance is going to be coming out of the Pro 7i. So if that's something that you see yourself doing a lot of, running a lot of programs at the same time, you might want to lean towards the Pro 7i. However, I don't really love, simulated benchmarks. We'll put R23 up on the screen as well so you can see that. They don't tell me as much as I want to know. So let's get into the real world benchmarks, taking a look at Photoshop. And if you're going to be using Photoshop, that's where the Pro 7i definitely takes a big bump ahead by about 100 points, going from 1,143 up to 1,229. And so that multi-core performance, Photoshop does use multi-core capabilities in the program, is going to be a benefit to you. You're going to see a little bit better, a little smoother performance out of the Legion Pro 7i. Now heading into After Effects, the benefit is not going to be as much. Keep in mind we have a 992 versus a 995, so both laptops are greatly equipped for After Effects. Now heading into the Blender Classroom benchmark, this is where the X16 actually takes a little tip up on the Pro 7i, and we see better performance out of the X16. So pretty much going to be about the same performance, but you might see a little less lagginess out of the X16 for Blender specifically. Now for Autodesk 3ds Max, you're going to see the Legion Pro 7i outperforming the X16. However, for PTC Creo and Autodesk Maya, the X16 is going to take the lead. Now as we move into SolidWorks, that's where we see the Pro 7i get a little bit of an uptick, 2 points on the X16. So really 3D modeling, I would say both laptops have great performance and really exceptional benchmarks in these programs. So you're not gonna have to worry about how good these will perform. You're in good hands with each of the laptops. Now moving on into video editing, let's go ahead and check the Playback. For 6K B-RAW and 6K red footage, we're seeing 0 drop frames out of the Pro 7i. And for the Republic of Gamer Flow X16, we see 0 for B-RAW, and then we only see 89 for red footage. So definitely 2 great laptops for 6K video editing. Of course, 4K video editing, 0 drop frames, gonna have super smooth capabilities inside of that program. So really each one will do. Now let's go ahead and get into the export time, see if we can kind of split things up a little bit and get you a more determined decision. Now for the 4K export time, that's a 9-minute 4K clip put into Premiere Pro and then exported out at full quality 4K YouTube settings. The Pro 7i is 2 minutes and 17 seconds. The X16 is 2 minutes and 11 seconds. Not a big difference. Now taking a look at 6K export times, you can see that there's gonna be an advantage by going with the Pro 7i by about 1.5 minutes. So if 6K is your thing, I would lean you towards the Pro 7i just for a little bit speedier experience on the workflow side of things. Okay, it's all about usability for these two laptops. When it comes to battery life, the X16 is gonna be much better. It's gonna be a far more portable laptop, but they both are built very well. So if you don't need the portability, the extra battery life, or the 2-in-1 capabilities, then going for the usually more affordable Pro 7i is gonna be a great pick for you. However, if you like the features on the X16, it's unbeatable. It's such a great laptop, and it is a little more on the expensive side of things, but they do have an RTX 4060 version that pulls the price down a little bit. And I've done a full review of the X16, so you can see the performance differences between the 4060 and the 4070. 4060 is still a great choice if you like the features but just don't want to spend all that money. Links in the description if you're ready to make a purchase, or click or tap the screen here for more videos to help you with your buying decision. I'll see you here in the next one.